Hello, welcome to the DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Big Italy 42. As you know, he is Josh Shepardson at Beachhead 50. Talking about, of course, DraftKings for tonight, Friday night. A lot of good action going on. Going to be an interesting night. We've got an unknown pitcher pitching in Coors Field tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun when Walt Weiss lets us know who that is at 7:03 tonight. So, going to be interesting. It's been rumored maybe it's Jorge De La Rosa. It's been also rumored that maybe it's someone else. So, just kind of wait and see with that. It's going to be tough, especially because it's a Coors Field game. But we'll kind of let you know some guys that are in play or not in play based on that. We're starting at the top here. Madison Bumgarner, $11,100. Definitely the most talented pitcher on the slate. Also goes up against one of the worst offenses in the world in the Philadelphia Phillies. Bumgarner coming off of a really bad start, giving up 6 earned runs at Washington. But outside of that, he's had one other bad start all season. He's been tremendous. And had his way with the same Philly team in Philly on June 6th, 8 innings and 11 Ks. So he did give up 5 earned runs in that game. But at the same time, he punched out 11 guys. So definitely giving you a nice, safe floor here because you kind of saw where he struggled there and still put up almost 30 DraftKings points. So he's your chalky cash game play tonight at that price tag, and he's going to be pretty heavily owned, I would imagine.
Yeah, and fairly heavily owned. Definitely good reason for that. He's at home this time, so he's in a more pitcher-friendly ballpark. So the strikeouts were obviously great last time, and we just watched the Phillies get mowed down by another similarly talented left-handed pitcher. Clayton Kershaw just shut him out the other day. This really is not an opposing lineup. They are better against lefties than righties, but against an all-world lefty like Bumgarner, you got to like his odds of pitching deep into the game, piling up points, maybe getting a win. Opposing Cole Hamels certainly hurts his odds at a win because the Giants are considerably better against righties than lefties, but they are about a league average offense against left-handed pitching. Cole Hamels makes for an interesting contrarian play because he is priced so close to Bumgarner. Sticking in a share or two of him in GPPs, not that crazy because he does have a decent ceiling. And you also have to figure with Garrett Cole checking in at $700 less than him, people who aren't using Bumgarner are probably going to be flocking to Cole quite frequently. A guy that I like is Colin McHugh as a GPP play. Rays are bad against right-handed pitching. He gets a break from pitching at Minute Maid Park to travel to Tropicana Field, which will be good for suppressing home runs. He is a fly ball pitcher in a ballpark that does keep the ball in the yard pretty well. Been up and down this year, but when he's on, he's been sharp. He does have 2 8-inning starts in his last 3, so it looks like he's fairly sharp. He is coming off of a 1 strikeout performance, though. Like to see more punch-outs than that, but the Red Sox do a good job of putting the ball in play, so not entirely surprising to see him struggle with strikeouts against them. But my favorite play, and I know he's yours as well, $6,900 Clay Buchholz. You don't usually like to play righties against the Yankees because they are tough on right-handed pitching, but they're not a Yankee Stadium, so there's no short porch in right field for those left-handed batters. And Buchholz has been brilliant this year. Great ERA, great FIP, great xFIP. I mean, you look at the underlying stats, and the 3.27 ERA does not look fluky. It looks legitimate. And he is opposing Pineda, but he is a favorite at home. At last check, the team over-under total for the Yankees was only 3.5, so we're not talking about a big team total. Odds makers are on board, expecting a decent pitching matchup between the two tonight. And at $6,900, man, he makes for a nice SP1 if you want to load up on some of these Coors bats. And who's the SP2 that you're looking at that might be a little sneaky and under the radar?
Yeah, a guy you can pair with Buchholz or maybe consider as a secondary cash game option because of the good matchup. Mike Leake, $6,800, had his way with this team on June 19th last time he faced them, and that was with Giancarlo Stanton. 2 hits in 7 innings with 3 walks, 7 Ks. He's a guy who you don't know what to expect. He's not a consistent pitcher. He does struggle a little bit with left-handed batters. 344 WOBA allowed. But the left-handed bats in this lineup aren't exactly daunting. You've got D. Gordon, does most of his damage on the base paths. Derek Dietrich doesn't really have any power. Justin Bour, a tough lefty, but, I mean, he swings at it and misses a lot also. So, I mean, those are the guys, and Christian Yelich, of course, who's hitting well, but really no big bat you're concerned about. And when Leake is good, I mean, he's effective and pitches deep into games. He doesn't throw a whole lot of pitches. So when he's got his stuff going, he doesn't mind pitching to contact, and because of that, I mean, he can pitch deep into a game without giving up a lot of runs.
Any other names you're looking at pitcher?
Not really. Not a whole lot to like down there cheap. I was searching for a guy that I'd feel okay about cheap. Like, you like to target the Mets, but I'm just not a Chase Anderson fan. Not a way that I'll be going tonight, any other night. I just don't think he's any good. Definitely not a guy that's on my radar tonight.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing anybody else that I'm terribly enamored with either. And speaking to Anderson, I mean the low strikeout rate really hurts. Just 60 punchouts in 97 innings this year. Just not going to cut it. I mean the price point's good. I think you'll see some people use him based on that and the fact that we have a game of Coors. But I'd rather pay up a little bit more and grab myself some Buckholes, or as you said, grab some Leak. And I think both of them checking in at under $7,000 looks like a really nice price point to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then catcher options, there are plenty of them. Yasmani Grandal gets Jimmy Nelson, $4,100. A couple other options. Russell Martin gets a lefty. It is in Kauffman Stadium, so you don't like it nearly as much as Rogers Center, but still a good matchup for him if you're paying up. And then Derek Norris, $3,700, gets a lefty and Wandy Rodriguez. 9-run total in Texas. Gotta like this spot for him tonight as well.
Yeah, I agree. A couple more names I'm looking at. $3,400 Stephen Vogt. Danny Salazar might be a semi-popular name. He tends to get some love because of the huge strikeout ceiling in GPPs. So it is an odd slate where there are some really good options. So maybe he's not quite as high owned as he sometimes is. But Stephen Vogt can turn around a fastball, and he's been punishing right-handed pitchers this year. Also first base eligible. And then in GPPs, I like Matt Wieters, switch hitter that's been better against lefties than righties throughout his career. Gets Gio Gonzalez and is only $3,100. And then I know there's a punt play that you like. Why don't you go ahead and share him?
Yeah, if you're looking for someone really cheap, assuming he's in the lineup, usually bats 5th or 6th. Brian Pena, $2,400 against contact pitcher, and David Phelps. Phelps is a fine pitcher, but he's not anybody that's going to overpower you. Pena makes good contact, and he's near absolute minimum salary, so certainly don't mind going that route at all either. First base options, once again, plenty as there always are at first base. I mean, never any shortage of options here. Paul Goldschmidt, if you want to go in a tournament, gets Noah Syndergaard, who's been pitching really well. Not a guy you're trying to pick on, but obviously Goldie can hit anyone. I think you and I are consensus here that Prince Fielder is your top play against fly ball pitcher Ian Kennedy, averaging more than 2 home runs allowed per 9 innings. So he's got to be your top play there. And then if not him, Adrian Gonzalez, also against Jimmy Nelson, going to be a pretty popular play at $4,500 as well.
Yeah, at that $4,500 price point's a nice sweet spot as well, as I really like Edwin Encarnacion against a lefty. Danny Duffy really struggling with right-handed batters this year, and as a lefty, you'd expect him to be more susceptible against righties, and that's been the case over the last few seasons as well. So really like Edwin Encarnacion. Before the podcast, we talked about Victor Martinez a little bit. Gets Irvin Santana in his second start back from his PED suspension, so like him a little bit at $4,100. And then digging deeper, looking in the cheap bargain bin price range, not going to find a heck of a lot tonight. Again, Stephen Vogt, $3,400, and he is first base eligible. If you want to do some crazy things with him, maybe play him at first and pair him with another catcher. Leave you a lot of money to spend elsewhere on the diamond, maybe load up in the outfield or something else. But I'm with you. The consensus top play for me is and you as Prince Fielder. I love that matchup with Ian Kennedy. He's crushing right-handed pitching this year. He's that rare power hitter with really good contact rate and really good batted ball profile.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to mention a total that's almost as high as the one in Coors. So
yep,
definitely looking that way. Second base options, my favorite play if you're paying up, and this is going to be more of a tournament option, but I actually really don't mind him in cash. You have the money. Brian Dozier, $4,500. We know he crushes lefties, but Justin Verlander's had some nasty reverse splits over the past couple seasons against righties, and he's just quite simply not been good at all this season. Hasn't pitched, I believe he's only had, 11 total innings, so 2 starts, 6 strikeouts. He's given up 10 runs already, 7 walks, 2 home runs. He's just simply not a good pitcher anymore, and Brian Dozier is in a prime spot to take advantage of him tonight at home.
Yeah, I like D. Gordon a bit as another pricey option, but I'm with you. Dozier, I think that power is a little bit more appealing to me tonight, and that $300 savings looks pretty good. I like Rougned Odor. If Rugi's hitting in the top of the order, I like him more. If he's hitting down order, at least he's got the top of the order wrapping around behind him, so there is some value there. He's priced around the elite options at second base, so might be lower ownership than he deserves, given how well nobody's been better over the last month among second base over the last 30 days, I should say, among second basemen that have totaled a minimum of 70 plate appearances. He's got 79, and he's been absolutely scorching the ball since getting recalled from AAA. Jace Peterson, this all comes down to who's getting the ball for the Rockies tonight. If it is a right-handed spot starter, I like Jace Peterson at $4,000. If it is Jorge De La Rosa or a left-handed spot starter, go ahead and cross him off the list. He's not very good against left-handed pitchers. Might have a favorable lineup slot hitting leadoff still, but I just don't like him against a lefty. Ben Zobrist, again, if you want a piece of Danny Salazar, you hope that maybe he's wild in the zone and gives up some long balls. We've seen Danny Salazar do that before. Zobrist isn't a bad play. I love Devin Travis at 3,700. One of my favorite stacks tonight is going to be that Blue Jays wraparound against Duffy, and that means if Travis continues to hit ninth, that's going to include Devin Travis. So, big fan of him. Jonathan Scope is a guy who I like in GPPs a little bit. Showing off some power this year. Has 4 home runs in just 40 at-bats this year. Making really hard contact. Was a decent prospect coming up, and mostly based on his bat. So, do like Scope a bit. And then digging down into the really, really bargain basement area. You don't like the matchup with Madison Bumgarner, but at $2,600, Cesar Hernandez has proven capable of getting on base at a high clip and is a base stealer. Has 12 stolen bases so far this year. So if you're looking for I guess you could call it a sneaky punt. I mean, Hernandez typically has been popular of late, but against Bumgarner, might fly a little bit below the radar. And one more name from that same game, Matt Duffy. $2,900. He's had some good lineup spots for the Giants, hitting third at times. $2,900 again. You don't love the matchup with a very good pitcher like Cole Hamels, but you got to like the price tag. You got to like the lineup spot, and you got to like the fact that he's right-handed.
Yeah. Agree with all those guys you got on that list. Second base, not particularly loaded. I mean, you pretty much covered all the guys that I like there. For me, it's going to come down, like you said, a lot to where Odor is slotted in that lineup today. Hopefully he's up near the top. Maybe pair him with Prince Fielder, Shin-Soo Choo, Mitch Moreland, really whoever you want. You obviously can't play Moreland and Fielder at the same time, but definitely get some exposure to Texas as much as you can tonight. Third base options, Josh Donaldson's your top option, as he always is against a lefty. Just so happens to be against a lefty who's bad against righties. Don't love the park factors, but it's not like Josh Donaldson gets lucky with his home runs. When he hits a home run off a lefty, it's a no-doubter in any stadium, so... gotta like him. Nolan Arenado, the swerve off him at 4,600 at home at Coors Field. Gets Shelby Miller, but once again, it is Coors Field, so take that however you like. But the guy that I really like is a swerve play here. Manny Machado against Gio Gonzalez. Gio's given up a 339 WOBA to right-handed batters this season. And Machado is at home at Camden Yards. Nice hitters park there. And Gio, he's had some good starts, but he's also had some really bad starts. So not a guy that I have a lot of confidence in tonight.
Yeah, I think those are the top options. There aren't a ton of really cheap options that I'm looking at and love tonight. You and I talked about Miguel Sano at 3,800. I think that that's a strong play. Big power against Verlander. He's just not the same pitcher that he was during his heyday. And I don't mind grabbing some Twins hitters against him tonight. And then looking a little bit cheaper, Brett Laurie, again, you're banking on Salazar giving up the long ball. But $3,500, Laurie's been pretty good this year. He's got 8 home runs, slashing 287, 324, 426 on the season. So now world beater numbers, but certainly decent. And as I said, Salazar gives up fly balls and occasionally gives up the long ball. So not the worst play in the world, I don't think. And then Danny Valencia, I'd be remiss to not mention him. $3,000. You can play him in third base. You can play him in the outfield. Danny Duffy giving it up to righties this year, and Valencia has hammered left-handed pitching. That is his specialty. That is why he is on a roster at this point in his big league career. So gotta like Valencia at just $3,000.
And it's against his old team. So revenge game, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, moving over to shortstop, Troy Tulowitzki. Another righty-righty matchup, but at home at Coors Field. Obviously going to be a popular play once again tonight. I know there's one guy in particular that you love as a swerve off of I almost said Donaldson. I'm thinking about Josh Donaldson all day, but as a swerve off of Troy Tulowitzki. So who do you got that's your alternative there?
At $300 less, I just don't think Jose Reyes is going to feature the type of ownership that you sometimes get with him against a left-handed batter or against a left-handed pitcher. There is no better offense in baseball against lefties than the Blue Jays, and He's the man that's a catalyst at the top of the order. He's got 11 steals this year, so you got some stolen base upside. Does have a little bit of pop. He's ripped 4 home runs this year, so he is capable of putting a charge into the ball. You'd like his chances of reaching the seats a lot more if it was at Rogers Center, but can still sting the ball. And anytime you're hitting directly in front of Josh Donaldson and just a couple spots removed from guys like Edwin Encarnacion and Joey Bats, you got to like your odds of coming around if you are on base. So I do like Jose Reyes quite a bit. I think he's got a fairly high ceiling, and I don't know as though his ownership is going to be crazy because he is priced so close to Troy Tulowitzki in a home game.
Yeah, absolutely. Outside of that, really not a whole lot of shortstops to like. A lot of the guys that you like as punt plays really aren't priced like punt plays tonight. Francisco Lindor had a homer last night. He's $3,100, so I don't mind him. But yeah, that's it's pretty rough. Unless Kike Hernandez maybe actually gets a lineup for once, $2,600, he would be an interesting play. But I don't bank on him getting in the lineup ever, really.
Yeah, a couple other names that I'm looking at for in the bargain bin. $3,500 Brandon Crawford. You can't love facing Cole Hamels, but Crawford does have a reverse platoon split, really hammering left-handed pitching since the start of last year. So 3,500 is a nice price point for gambling on his pop. And then assuming he's hitting cleanup, he's in the lineup now every day with Josh Harrison on the disabled list. Jung-Ho Kang getting right-handed Lance Lynn. We know Lynn's tougher on righties than lefties, but Gong, if he's hitting cleanup, it's hard to argue with a $3,100 cleanup hitter at a position that, if you're not paying up for, there aren't a lot of bargain options. So I do like him a bit.
Yeah, that's a great call there. Outfield options, I love Bryce Harper in tournaments against Chris Tillman. Chris Tillman is a dumpster fire right now. Everyone hitting him hard, so don't mind paying for him in tournaments where you have the money for it. Outside of that, though, I like a lot of these middle guys here. Lorenzo Cain, crushing the ball right now, gets Marco Estrada, $4,700 for him. He's going to be a low-owned GPP guy for you. A guy that will not be low-owned, but is Nelson Cruz, $4,800 against Mr. 52.5% fly ball rate, Hector Santiago. And another guy a little bit cheaper I'll throw at you real quick is Gerardo Parra, back in the lineup against a righty now, I assume. He better be back in the lineup against a righty. In Dodger Stadium, you and I were talking about earlier, Dodger Stadium amplifies home runs, and I don't know there's been more leadoff home runs by anyone in the last month than by Gerardo Parra. So once you get past that first at bat, if he hasn't homered, maybe he was a bad play for you. But that first inning has been money for him so far.
Well, and a guy that I like, whether he's facing a lefty or a righty tonight, which remains a mystery, at least in GPPs, I don't think you need to roster him in cash games, but Cameron Maybin at $5,300. He's just $200 less than Mike Trout. He's $400 less than Bryce Harper. He's more expensive than Joey Bats and Nelson Cruz, and just a number of more established hitters. Yes, he's at Coors Field, but no, I don't think he's going to be high owned because he is priced near the elite. Cameron Maybin is the bet that I really like in the Braves lineup because he's got power, he's got speed, and he should be facing a bad pitcher, whether that's De La Rosa or that's someone else spot starting tonight. I do think that he has some serious upside and definitely worth a flyer in GPPs, even at that very high price point. I'm with you on the guys that you named. I'll add Charlie Blackmon to the list, $4,600 against a righty at home. Gotta like that. Gotta also like his teammate Carlos Gonzalez at $4,300. Neither of these guys getting that price jack up at home, so you gotta like them at the same $4,300 price point. Shin-Soo Choo, as long as he's hitting second or behind Delino DeShields, gotta like him at $4,300 against Ian Kennedy. And a nugget that I dropped before the show that I think is worth bringing up now. Speaking of their leadoff hitter, Delino DeShields at $3,700. If he gets on base, he should be running wild. Derek Norris has allowed 52 stolen bases and 70 starts behind the dish this year. So I really like the stolen base upside for the Shields. Really like the run scoring upside for that Rangers offense in general. So the Shields makes for a decent play. It's a righty-righty matchup, so you might see some people sleep on him. And then same price point, Jacques Peterson looks pretty good at $3,700. If his teammate Andre Ethier is back in the lineup tonight, he did leave last night's game early with, I believe it was some hamstring tightness. Andre Ethier at $3,300 looks like a good play. Again, assuming he's in the lineup and the injury isn't serious. He may just get a day of rest, though. So if that's the case, obviously you can't be putting him in your lineup. And the last name that I'm going to go ahead and drop is another cheap option, and he's probably my favorite punt of the day. Again, assuming he's in the lineup, he should be. He's a left-handed batter, and he's facing a righty. $3,200 Ben Paulson. You don't often get that kind of cheap exposure to Coors Field with a guy that can hit the ball pretty well, and but you do with Paulson. And because I do like first base so much tonight, I would advocate using him in the outfield as opposed to slotting him at first base.
Yeah, then that's a good call, especially with so many good options on a big slate. Maybe a shorter slate, you put him at first to be different, but I'm with you. I don't think that tonight is the night to do that. And if you're looking for really, really cheap options, good luck, because there really aren't very many of them. But really, you're likely paying for one pitcher, and even if you pay up for two pitchers, unless both those pitchers are Cole Hamels and Madison Bumgarner, which I wouldn't imagine you'd be doing, then you can easily get some of these bats in here. So no need to pay down too much. And I think that's going to pretty much cover it for us. Anybody else you want to highlight before we get out of here?
I guess you could also throw Chris Colabello in the mix. His big season is kind of slowing down just a little bit, but still hitting 328, 366, 505 on the season. And as we know, the Blue Jays do work against left-handed pitching. So at $3,300, he typically gets a nice lineup spot, often hitting fifth, right behind Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion. So you got a couple ducks on the pond for him pretty frequently. So Colabello is the last name that I'll throw out there, just because he is salary relief with power in that loaded Blue Jays offense. And if you can't tell, I really like the Blue Jays offense to go off tonight.
Yeah, and same here and same in Vegas. They definitely agree with you as well. Thanks for hanging out with us. Find us on Twitter at DF Cafe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Optimizer Colossus, our cheat sheets. A lot of great content at dailyfantasycafe.com.